Saudi Arabia launched one of the most ambitious urban projects in history, a $500 billion linear megacity stretching across the desert. 3 years into serious construction, the reality looks dramatically different from the promise. Budgets are ballooning, timelines are shifting, and the original vision is evolving in ways that nobody expected. Here's what's actually happening inside NEOM right now, and why 2026 is shaping up to be its most decisive year yet. In 2017, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman unveiled NEOM with a vision that seemed straight out of science fiction. The centerpiece, known as the Line, would stretch 170 kilometers across the desert. A mirrored linear city 500 meters tall and 200 meters wide, eventually housing 9 million people in a car-free, AI-managed environment. NEOM would span 26,500 square kilometers, larger than Israel, featuring ski slopes in the desert, floating cities, and renewable energy powering the entire region while preserving 95% of the land for nature. It was to be the crown jewel of Vision 2030, aimed at diversifying Saudi Arabia's oil-based economy. Global architects, engineers, and consultants joined the project, eager to be part of a historic transformation. But as NEOM enters 2026, the distance between early renderings and on-the-ground reality has become difficult to ignore. While the official plan still calls for housing 9 million people along the full 170 kilometers, recent reports indicate a scaled approach. The initial phases are targeting roughly 300,000 residents over shorter, more manageable segments. The timeline has stretched. What was once envisioned as a major 2030 milestone is now being extended to 2045 for full completion, with initial sections expected in the early 2030s. Financially, the project has already consumed tens of billions from the Saudi Public Investment Fund. Though exact costs are not publicly disclosed, some estimates suggest the total price tag could rise into the trillions. What began as a $500 billion initiative now represents a potentially unprecedented financial commitment. Despite that, NEOM's leadership remains steadfast, emphasizing the long-term payoff and broader impact of establishing a blueprint for future cities. Officials argue that transformational projects of this scale require extended timelines and adaptive planning. Construction is progressing, though unevenly. Satellite images reveal significant earth-moving and foundation work across multiple sites. Thousands of foundation piles have been driven for the line's early segments. The hidden marina area shows vertical structures, while much of the terrain remains under preparation. Iconic features like the massive mirrored facades exist only in partial test sections. The finished visuals seen in promotional materials are still far from realized, yet core infrastructure is underway. Roads, water, and utility systems are being installed. The NEOM airport is under construction, and a tunnel for the Trojena Mountain Resort has been completed. These foundational elements are critical, regardless of whether the larger vision materializes. In addition to physical infrastructure, NEOM has launched internal programs aimed at workforce training and development. The goal is to create a local talent pipeline capable of supporting advanced operations, reducing long-term reliance on international expertise. Labor practices have drawn criticism. Human rights groups have raised concerns over working conditions and the treatment of migrant workers across Saudi Vision 2030 projects. One investigation cited over 21,000 migrant worker deaths since 2017 across all major Saudi construction initiatives. However, it remains unclear how many are directly linked to NEOM. Allegations of unsafe working conditions, unpaid wages, and excessive hours have been made, particularly in the early phases. NEOM officials say they are implementing better safety protocols and worker welfare programs, though critics argue more transparency and accountability are needed. The displacement of the Huwaitat tribe, some of whom were reportedly forcibly removed, also continues to draw international concern. The issue has impacted NEOM's global image, with some international contractors re-evaluating their involvement due to reputational risk. Human rights organizations continue to call for third-party oversight to ensure fair labor practices. NEOM brands itself as the world's most sustainable city, aiming to preserve 95% of its land for nature and operate entirely on renewables. But the environmental reality is more complicated. The construction of massive concrete, glass, and steel structures across fragile desert ecosystems creates substantial environmental disruption. These materials generate significant carbon emissions, and the long-term ecological impact of altering such vast desert landscapes remains uncertain. Scientists have raised questions about the potential of the line's mirrored surfaces to affect local climates, including disrupting wind patterns and increasing regional temperatures. That said, Saudi Arabia is investing heavily in renewable energy. Solar, wind, and green hydrogen projects are underway to power NEOM. The effort is ambitious, but the tension between sustainability claims and large-scale construction remains unresolved. NEOM's environmental team claims these concerns are being addressed through innovative designs, including vertical farming, desalination-powered irrigation, and natural ventilation strategies. However, independent validation of these claims is limited. NEOM promises futuristic technology, AI-managed urban environments, autonomous mobility, and smart infrastructure. But much of that technology isn't fully developed or scaled for real-world implementation. What's being built now reflects current best practices in smart city development: fiber optics, sensors, and data centers, but not the advanced AI and seamless automation shown in promotional material. A high-speed rail system is proposed to span the line's full length, but construction so far has focused on more traditional infrastructure. Managing transportation, energy, and utilities at such a scale presents engineering challenges that are yet to be solved. NEOM's partnership with global tech firms is ongoing, with collaborations aiming to test new systems in limited segments before scaling them up. These testbeds are essential for prototyping smart infrastructure under real-world conditions. Other NEOM components are seeing more concrete progress. Sindalar, a luxury island resort, is nearing completion. Trojena, the mountain tourism project, has completed major infrastructure and is moving toward launch. Hydrogen production plants and data centers are under construction. These industrial projects rely on existing technology and offer more achievable milestones for Vision 2030's broader economic goals. The NEOM airport, regional roads, and utilities provide the foundation for these efforts, even if the line takes decades to fully materialize. Several of these side projects have already begun attracting interest from global investors in tourism, energy, and logistics sectors. This diversified development strategy may be the key to ensuring NEOM's economic relevance while its central vision continues evolving. NEOM is being bankrolled largely through the Saudi Public Investment Fund, but that fund's assets are heavily tied to oil revenues, the very economic reliance NEOM is meant to reduce. International investors have shown limited commitment beyond consulting and design contracts. The project's size, complexity, and long timeline make it a high-risk venture by conventional standards. Costs continue to rise due to extreme climate conditions, complex engineering requirements, and shifting scopes. The project's evolving nature makes budget forecasting difficult, further complicating outside investment. That said, NEOM's leadership continues to court foreign capital, presenting the project as a once-in-a-generation opportunity. While skepticism remains, some institutional investors have expressed conditional interest, depending on clearer milestones and demonstrated ROI. Rather than abandoning its original goals, NEOM appears to be evolving toward a phased, test-and-learn approach. Smaller segments will demonstrate the viability of new technologies and planning models. This allows the project to adjust based on results and feedback while maintaining momentum. It also provides room for technological innovations to catch up with the project's ambitions. But it also raises questions. Will the full 170-kilometer linear city ever be built? Or will NEOM deliver only fragments of its original vision? NEOM officials frame the evolution as pragmatism, not retreat. They argue that phasing the city's growth mirrors how most successful cities developed organically over time. In 20 out of 26, NEOM represents a project in motion. Earthworks, infrastructure, and early structures are taking shape. The dream of a sci-fi megacity remains alive, but mostly in renderings and marketing. Construction continues across different zones, and the government remains committed. The mirrored cityscape has yet to emerge, but foundational elements are forming the skeleton for potential expansion. Public expectations have cooled, but global curiosity remains. NEOM has moved from hype to scrutiny, and 20/26 may be the year that defines whether its evolution leads to success or stagnation. NEOM's future likely lies somewhere between full realization and scaled-back ambition. The most likely outcome is a set of interconnected developments that showcase pieces of the original vision. Success won't just be judged by whether the 170-kilometer line is completed. Instead, it will depend on whether NEOM generates real economic value, demonstrates new planning models, and avoids becoming an expensive cautionary tale. For Saudi Arabia, NEOM still represents an opportunity to lead in sustainability and urban innovation, but it must balance vision with transparency, human rights, and realistic execution. NEOM in 20/26 is no longer just a promise, it's a test. The next few years will reveal whether it's a bold bet that pays off or a lesson in the limits of top-down mega-projects. What do you think about NEOM's evolution from futuristic promise to complex reality? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most ambitious projects and how they're actually progressing.